The San Joaquin Valley, a place abound with food, but where a decent bite may be hard to find. My name's Ramon. My mission? To find all things hidden, delicious, and unique that the valley has to offer. Joining me will be Angie. And Mark. And together, we'll find out what's good, Fresno. Love meat? Then look no further than Ruben's Rib Shack. You can find them smoking up some delicious barbecue on the corner of Clinton Avenue in Fresno. We chatted with Ruben to gain some insight on the tasty art of barbecue.
What inspired you to start cooking?
I had visited quite a few barbecue restaurants around Fresno, around the valley, and every time I went, I left there disappointed. Couldn't really find anything that I felt had anything true about it. You know, I knew for a fact my food I cooked at home was better. So I was always going out looking for something as good or better. I never really found it.
How long do you cook your meat, or do you smoke your meat?
The different meats have different timelines on them. Mm-hmm. The average numbers for pork spare ribs is about 5 to 6 hours, and the brisket can actually go sometimes 10 to 12 hours.
Wow.
And like when we train someone here, like the people that work here, Sandra, Milton, I tell them, when you learn this pit like the back of your hand, a whole new learning curve comes to them. You know, you gotta learn where the smoke comes in, where the hot spots are, and as they've learned those things, they've been able to produce the same ribs I can.
Well, speaking of smoke, is there a special type of wood that you use to produce a unique flavor in them?
Yeah, we use oak, which is a specialty oak that we get. We also incorporate that sometimes with hickory.
Now, along with the smoke and the wood, you know, the flavor that adds, is there any spices you like to use particularly?
We have our house rub consists of 13 different spices. The spice rub is called Gold Dust. There's no restrictions on price when it comes to making it. It's very expensive, and so that's what we use. And basically, we put it on everything, and it works well with everything.
Well, speaking of gold, I heard you mentioning liquid gold earlier. Tell me about that magic.
The liquid gold barbecue sauce, that is probably, I would say that's the icing on the cake. Some of the doctors that work at the big hospitals nearby, they practically sometimes want to drink it.
What drives you?
Quality. It's hard to really produce good barbecue 6 days a week, but these long smoking times, these specialty dry rubs, this homemade barbecue sauce, it is what people call labor of love. It's, you do something because you take pride in it. You do something because when people come in and they're like, oh my God, that is so good. That's what keeps us doing what we do.
With the interview done, it's business time.
So we're here at Ruben's Rib Shack, and the feast is here before us.
You may notice that Mark is not here with us, and that is really unfortunate because he is missing out. We may need assistance tonight from our cameraman. We may not. So the first thing we're going to tackle here is the Man vs. Food Burger.
The Man vs. Food Burger. A mountain of burger patties, pulled pork, fries, coleslaw, and just about everything else. Adam Richmond, the gauntlet has been thrown down.
So I don't know about you, but I think this is going to be a fork burger for me.
Yes.
There are many layers of goodness on this.
The fries are in there. There's coleslaw in there. There's the pulled pork. You know, he was talking about not using the hockey pucks, as it were, for the hamburgers.
You're right. You can tell that those aren't hockey puck burgers, and I think a lot of it for me, what's really noticeable is the seasoning that's all the way throughout.
Yeah. I don't see being able to eat one of these all by myself.
You know, I think this would actually be the perfect date burger. You take a woman here, if she splits a burger with you, you keep her.
After vanquishing the burger, we took on the succulent pulled pork.
You can really see why this is one of his customers' absolute favorite meals. This pulled pork is just divine. There's not a lot of chewing required on this meat.
Mm-hmm. And also, you can also tell where the outside of the barbecue, you know, what part of the meat was outside. There's a crust on it. It's just right. You know,
I know.
You can taste it right.
I'm trying to reach around and grab those little crusty pieces because they have just the right amount of sauce and just the right amount of crispness.
Then we tried the impossibly tender barbecue chicken.
I'm a little jealous of Ruben. No matter how I try to cook chicken, it never comes out that tender. You know, if I cook it for a long time, it turns tough. If I cook it for too short, it's raw. To find a piece of chicken that's cooked that well and that tasty,
You're right, it's a very delicate balance, isn't it? Because you can't serve chicken rare. but nobody likes chicken when it gets chewy and...
You can serve it rare once, and then you'll have to pay for it later.
And of course, who could forget the ribs? Ruben's claim to fame.
My favorite,
Ribs.
the ribs. These are the most incredible ribs that I have ever experienced.
All right.
Meat off the bone.
Falls off. You don't have to tear at it. It just light pinch and it comes right off.
There's a really good ratio of sauce to meat. He doesn't have to drown it to hide poor quality meat, yet there's just enough on there where you get this wonderful explosion of spices in your mouth.
You can tell the hours and hours that this spent smoking.
They're a sexy rib. There's no other way to put it.
But the side dish is also shared in the spotlight, like the incomparable mac and cheese.
I've been waiting on this one all day.
I know, you saw it prepared this morning.
Yes, I did.
And your description of it on the ride over, I was very excited about this one.
Yeah, the fact that he actually put real cheese in it, it's real shredded cheese, real milk and butter, and then his spices.
That was another something that you mentioned,
Yeah.
that there was the addition of onions to the macaroni and cheese. And I'm not huge on onions myself, but they add a really good flavor to the macaroni and cheese.
All the spices that he even puts in, and the fact that it's not just salt in there, you can tell.
You're right, you can taste the love. It's something that you wish your mother would make.
Even coleslaw, the neglected side, gets a much needed facelift.
You can really taste how fresh it is.
There's some acidity to it in there too. It is a little sweet. I don't know, like almost citrusy.
One of the biggest disappointments is prepackaged coleslaw. It seems like such a go-to every barbecue place you go. You get this mushy, white, milky stuff, and I think they just give it to you so you feel like you have a vegetable with the meal.
These beans are good. I'd say it's close to chili, but doesn't have that ketchupy taste that chili tends to have.
It's something that you can tell was freshly made. They don't have the mushiness that canned beans do.
Finally, the meal was finished with a bang, with the rice pilaf.
One of the things that I really enjoy about this rice pilaf is that while it's not as spicy as, say, the hot link or tangy as the barbecue, you can't call it bland.
He uses fresh garlic. He doesn't use powdered garlic or garlic flavoring. Also, the vermicelli is the right color. It's right brownness. It's right doneness. It's not burnt or undercooked. So.
Or dissolved into mush. So we're wrapping up our meal here at Ruben's, and I have to say it is sincerely the best barbecue that I have ever had.
Out of everything we've ate, which was quite a bit, what would you say is your favorite item?
I still am in love with the ribs. The ribs were part of the reason that we had to come back here for What's Good Fresno. But the chicken, because the chicken surprised me. I don't know that I would normally order chicken at a place that serves barbecue, but this chicken was perfect. It was moist, it was tender, it was everything that barbecue chicken should be, but never is. As far as the sides go, I'm a sucker for the mac and cheese. You could tell that it was so homemade, and the little attention to detail, like the extra spices and the onion that went in there, really take it and bring it up to the next level.
Yeah.
What about you, Ramon?
I gotta say the coleslaw. Usually, don't like coleslaw. It's like we said, it's that weird, white stuff you see off in the corner of the table. This one, you can use it as the base for a lot of food. And I'd have to say, adding the coleslaw with the pulled pork. I would have not thought, putting them together would have been a good thing, but they mix really well. But as far as a side in and of its own, I can say the beans. I mean, you can just eat the beans and be happy.
I'm Angie.
And I'm Ramon.
And this is What's Good Fresno.
Thank you for joining us.
Mention What's Good Fresno when you visit Ruben's Rib Shack and receive a free drink with your purchase.